I have more cast-ons from Mom for you today. Today we're going to take a look at decorative cast-ons. The first one is going to be a corded and then a braided version of a cast-on, which makes kind of a multicolor edge. This is the corded. She'll show you the braided version in her video. So it's kind of a cool cast-on. The next one's really wicked to do. Wait till you see how it's done. It's called a double eyelet cast-on. See the little eyelets there? It's not only decorative, it's real flexible. She says that it's good for a wavy edge, like maybe a chevron or a lace, something that you need some flexibility for. And it's kind of cool looking. That's the eyelet cast on. Then last is a cast on that I've never seen anywhere else. We call it the double cast on. It's not the double needle cast on, it's called the double cast on. And it is the coolest cast on I think I've seen. There's a story behind this. We had a customer come in with a German pattern. It was an old German pattern. And they had, like I said, we talked about German patterns before. The instructions are very brief. And it was describing a cast on. She goes, I don't know what they're talking about. And Mom briefly looked at it. She goes, I don't either. She goes, let me make a copy of this, take it home, and try to figure it out. Well, she comes in the next day. She goes, I figured it out, and it's the coolest thing ever. What's so cool about this edge, notice it's kind of a substantial edge, is it prevents stockinette stitch from rolling. So if you have an edge that just starts with stockinette, you know usually what happens is the front of your sweater is going to flip up. This double cast on will help prevent that. So that's a really cool thing. So it's decorative, I guess, because it looks different, but really to me it's more functional. So here's Mom with different decorative cast-ons.
These cast-ons all create very unique and decorative edges. The corded and braided cast-ons are actually the same cast-on with one minor difference, although each creates a very distinctive edge. Leaving short tails, hold two yarns together. I'm using two colors, although you can use two of the same color if you want. Holding both yarns together, make a slip knot and place on the needle. This can be removed after working the following row, so don't count it as a stitch. Make one long tail cast on stitch. Now switch the yarns. Bring the forefinger yarn over the thumb yarn. Make another long tail cast on stitch. Again switch the yarns, bringing the forefinger yarn over the thumb yarn. Continue in this manner, switching the yarns after each stitch. The yarns will twist together as you work. Here you can see how the edge looks rope-like or corded. Now we'll switch to the braided cast-on. Everything is the same except the yarns are switched so that the thumb yarn crosses over the forefinger yarn. Here you see a more substantial edge that looks braided. On this swatch, I have maintained the checkerboard look. This is the corded, and this is the braided. Braided, corded. The braided looks like it has fewer rows, although it doesn't. The braided edge turns to the knit side, completely covering the following row. This is another swatch of corded, where the colors were carried up to create stripes. This is the eyelet cast-on, a very different execution, which creates a very unique look. With smaller needles and leaving a short tail, place a slip knot on the needle. With a second needle in your right hand, cast on one stitch with knit cast on. Make a backward yarn over. To do this, have your yarn in the back, go over top of the needle to front, and then under the needle to the back. Then place the right needle through the back loop of the two stitches on the left needle, make a backward wrap, and pull through. Turn. Repeat, beginning with the backward yarn over, through the back loops, backward wrap, pull through, and turn. you are creating loops or eyelets on both sides of a center line. When you have as many loops along one side as the number of cast-on stitches needed, -1, leave out the backward yarn over before knitting the last 2 loops together. The stitch remaining on the right needle will be the first cast-on stitch. Now pick up 1 stitch in each loop along one edge. I didn't use a smaller needle, and you can see on this swatch why you should. The cast on is entirely too loose, but you can easily see the double row of eyelets. A smaller needle was used on this swatch, and the edge is much more controlled. This cast on not only creates a nice double eyelet edge, but is very expandable and will follow a stitch pattern that creates an indented or curved edge, such as some chevron type designs, feather and fan, or many lace patterns. This last cast on is a double cast on, not to be confused with the double needle cast on. For this cast on, you will use 3 strands of yarn. Use needles 2 to 3 sizes smaller than the project needle. Leaving short tails, simply hold the cut ends in your right hand. Position the yarns on the left hand as for long tail cast on, placing 2 strands on the thumb. Make 1 long tail cast on. Reposition the strands on the thumb by bringing your thumb up under the yarn. Make a long tail cast on, except instead of going under the yarn on the front side of your thumb, go under the yarn on the back side of your thumb. Now make a normal long tail cast on. Now repeat these 2 stitches. You'll want your last stitch to be one of the repositioned stitches. As you can see here, there are 2 stitches coming from each wrap at the base. This cast on is primarily used for stockinette stitch. The following row will be a purl row. This cast on creates a substantial edge. This heaviness prevents the curling which normally occurs with stockinette stitch.